There's a generation that quietly has more wealth than millennials, saves more consistently than Gen Z, and trusts the financial system less than everyone combined. They'll spend $500 on concert tickets tonight and use coupons at the grocery store tomorrow. They've got $50,000 in savings but refuse to replace a 15-year-old car. They carry the highest debt loads of any generation but won't touch a credit card balance. None of this makes sense until you understand what happened to them. Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980. 44 to 59 years old today, and their money psychology is shaped by one brutal economic lesson nobody else experienced quite the same way. They watched the system promise security, then deliver catastrophe. Twice. And it permanently rewired how they process every dollar decision for the rest of their lives. Here's the scene that broke them. 1983. You're 10 years old. Dad takes you to the bank to deposit his paycheck. Same company, 15 years. Same steady amount every 2 weeks. The teller knows him by name. He's got a pension, savings, earning real interest, mortgage paid off in 12 years right on schedule. Everything works. The formula is simple. Work hard, stay loyal, save money, retire comfortable. The system protects people who follow the rules. Flash forward 25 years. 2008. You're 35. You followed that formula exactly. Did everything right. Got the degree, the career, the house, the 401k. Then in 18 months, you watched your retirement account cut in half, your home value crater, your secure company lay off 20-year veterans. The formula was a lie. That betrayal never leaves you. My name's Charles. I study how economic trauma creates permanent money behaviors. What I'm about to show you is how one generation developed the strangest, most contradictory financial psychology of any group alive, and why every single contradiction makes perfect sense once you see what shaped them. If you've ever wondered why some people act financially paranoid despite having money, or why they save excessively but spend recklessly, stay with me. This is about understanding the psychology behind money decisions that look irrational until you know the story. Subscribe if you want to see how history shapes the way people handle money today. First contradiction. Generation X is the most anxious about retirement and the most consistent savers simultaneously. Transamerica Center data from 2023 shows 70% of Gen X are terrified about retirement. Not concerned, terrified. But this same group has the second highest 401k contribution rates of any generation working today. They don't believe the system will work. They save like their lives depend on it anyway. They're funding retirement accounts while expecting those accounts to fail them eventually. Psychologists call this defensive pessimism. Assume everything collapses, prepare obsessively, survive when it does. It's exhausting. It's also kept them alive through multiple economic disasters. And their paranoia isn't irrational. It's pattern recognition. They watched parents' pensions vanish when companies restructured. They graduated into recession in the early 90s. They bought first homes right before 2008 crashed everything. They're not pessimists. They're realists with receipts. Second contradiction reveals something they invented before it had a name. Generation X pioneered the side hustle. Federal Reserve data shows they have higher self-employment and secondary income rates than boomers or millennials. But here's the twist. Most keep their day jobs. They're not quitting 9 to 5 to chase dreams. They're building escape tunnels while keeping the main exit open. That neighbor flipping houses? Not doing it for passion. Doing it because they watched a colleague with 20 years at the company get walked out with a cardboard box. That burned into every Gen X brain permanently. Never depend on one income source. Not because you're entrepreneurial, because you're terrified of what happens when that source disappears. 1995. You watch mom's company downsize. People who worked there before you were born suddenly unemployed at 50. No warning, no safety net. Gone. The lesson lands hard. Loyalty means nothing. Service means nothing. Your survival is your responsibility alone. That's why they run the Etsy shop and the consulting gig and own rental property and freelance on weekends. It's not ambition. It's insurance. It's redundancy engineering applied to income. If one stream fails, 3 others keep running. This isn't wealth strategy. This is survival strategy. Third contradiction confuses every marketer who studies them. Generation X job hops ruthlessly, switching companies every 3 to 5 years for better pay. But they're fiercely loyal to brands. Adobe research found Gen Xers are 34% more likely than millennials to stick with brands from youth, even when cheaper options exist. They'll quit Fortune 500 companies via email without guilt, but they'll drive across town for the coffee shop where the owner remembers their order. They'll leave corporate jobs for 10% raises. But they're still buying the same jeans, listening to the same bands, using the same products they loved at 16. Zero loyalty to institutions, intense loyalty to people and products they trust. The psychology is simple once you see it. Institutions betrayed them. People haven't, or when people betray you, you can hold them accountable. When corporations do it, you get severance and a form letter thanking you for service. So yes, they're still supporting brands from their youth. Not nostalgia. Trust economics. These things didn't change the rules without warning. These things didn't why. Fourth contradiction looks like financial schizophrenia until you understand the mechanism. High savings rates, substantial emergency funds, but also the highest spending on experiences of any generation. Eventbrite data shows Gen Xers spend about $3,000 annually on concerts, travel, live events, more than any other generation in absolute dollars. Financially paranoid and experientially extravagant at the same time. Same psychology driving both. They save obsessively because systems can't be trusted to protect them. They spend on experiences because possessions can't be trusted either. Your house goes underwater. Your car loses value instantly. Your stuff means nothing when economy crashes and you need liquidity. But that concert in '94? Nobody repossesses that memory. That Europe trip in your 30s can't be foreclosed. Your memories don't lose value in market corrections. They figured out through pain that in unstable economies, experiences give better returns than things. Banks can't take tricks you already took. You can't lose memories in recession. Experiences are the one asset class that external forces can't devalue. This is why they drive 15-year-old cars but drop $500 on concert tickets without hesitation. Car is transportation. Doesn't matter. Concert is memory, lasting decades. One depreciates. One appreciates in value, as time makes it more precious. Fifth contradiction shows up in how they handle professional advice. Cerulli Associates data shows they're the least likely generation to use traditional financial advisors. They'd rather research everything, build spreadsheets, manage portfolios themselves. But they're the most anxious about whether they're doing it right. Don't want help. Terrified of messing up. Context matters here. Generation X came of age when you could actually learn things from books and figure complex topics out independently. Last generation that believes self-education achieves real expertise. So they read financial books, build Excel models, manage investments because they genuinely think they can master it through study. But they also saw what happened when parents trusted experts with pensions. Experts failed. Through incompetence or malice or market forces, nobody controlled. Pensions vanished. Promises evaporated. Experts had no answers. So Gen X educates themselves thoroughly, verifies everything twice, trusts nobody's advice without extensive homework first. Not arrogance, self-defense against a system that failed them before and likely will again. Sixth contradiction surprises people until you see the strategy. Generation X carries the highest total debt of any generation, according to Experian. But they're the most strategic about it. They'll take $400,000 mortgages without hesitation, but absolutely refuse to carry $2,000 credit card balances. The difference is control and predictability. Mortgage is structured. Fixed payment, clear timeline, predictable completion path. You know exactly what you're dealing with for 30 years. Credit card debt is chaos, financial quicksand with variable rates, compounding forever. They watched it destroy their parents during the 80s and 90s consumer debt explosion. University of Michigan research found Gen X witnessed unprecedented consumer debt disasters in childhood, then saw catastrophic consequences in 2008. The lesson wasn't never borrow. The lesson was only borrow what you can map to completion with certainty. So they leveraged debt strategically for appreciating assets, real estate, business investments, calculated moves with endpoints. But furniture on credit? Vacation on credit? That's debt that kills you slowly through compound interest. They know intimately from watching it destroy people they loved. Seventh pattern seems old-fashioned, but is genius-level financial defense. Generation X keeps ARP found 61%, maintain physical files of important documents. They're not technologically illiterate, they built the internet. But they remember when companies lost records, databases crashed, digital promises evaporated. They trust technology to work most of the time. They trust paper to work all of the time. Redundancy by design applied to documentation. Digital banking app? Yes. Paper statements filed? Also yes. Cloud storage? Sure. Fireproof safe with physical copies of critical documents? Obviously. Seems excessive until you've lived through system failures where only physical proof saved you. When banks create fake accounts, when databases get hacked, when companies lose records of promises made, paper doesn't lie. Paper doesn't crash. Paper survives. Here's what this all reveals. Generation X isn't confused about money. They're not contradictory. They're precisely adapted to economic reality that promised stability and delivered chaos. They're financial survivalists with retirement accounts. Trust nothing, prepare for everything. Show up anyway, because what else can you do? Can't opt out of economy, can only navigate it with maximum defensive precautions. That kid in the bank in 83 watching dad deposit paychecks, learning hard work equals security, they learned that lesson completely, believed it totally, then watched the system break that promise systematically for 30 years. Now they play the game because they must, but never forget it's rigged. Never fully trust any institution, any promise, any system claiming to protect them. They save aggressively because nobody else protects them. Diversify income because employers discard them. Spend on experiences because possessions get taken. Keep paper because digital fails. Manage own finances because experts failed parents. Take strategic debt, but avoid consumer debt because they watched it destroy families. Loyal to people and products but not institutions because institutions betrayed them. Every contradiction makes perfect sense with context. Not paranoid, informed by experience. Not cynical, realistic about power. Not stuck in past, just loyal to things that didn't lie. Your money habits aren't random. They're responses to the world that shaped you. Generation X responses to economic betrayal make perfect sense. They built financial survival psychology that let them accumulate wealth while never believing systems would protect them. And honestly, that might be the healthiest money relationship any generation ever had. Trust nothing. Verify everything. Prepare for disaster. Live your life anyway. 3 takeaways if you're not Gen X but want their financial resilience. 1. Diversify income sources now before you need them. Don't wait for layoffs to build backup plans. 2. Separate strategic debt from consumer debt in your brain. Leverage for assets, never for lifestyle. 3. Keep physical backups of critical financial documents. Technology fails, paper survives. If understanding psychology behind financial behaviors helps you decide better, subscribe. Next video breaks down why millennials and Gen Z handle money completely differently, despite similar economic conditions, and what trauma timing reveals about financial psychology formation. Understanding why people do what they do compounds faster than copying behaviors. Keep watching.